Grab a cup of joe and let's gather round that hay bale. With your hosts, Ann from Andale Homestead, Cayce from Ormsby Farms, Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch, and Sandy from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Here they are. Hey, y'all, hey.
Hey, y'all. Hey, it's Ann with Andale Homestead.
Hey, everyone. It's Cayce over at Ormsby Farms.
And I'm Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch. Now, today's very special episode is going to be a little longer than usual. And today we're talking about the tariffs. But before we start, I'd like to introduce our extra guest here, our guest host.
Yay!
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Hey,
Eric,
Eric.
hello,
Thank you for
everybody.
joining us.
What's going on, everybody?
Okay, so if you're not here joining us live, or at least if you don't see our faces, and if you're listening to us in our podcast world and you're only listening to us in your ears while you're doing your gardening or maybe making dinner, whatever it is, if you want to see our smiling faces, you can definitely hop on over to YouTube, because we are here every Monday too. Whenever the podcast is released out in the podcast world, it's also released on YouTube. And don't forget, you can always come join us and have more of this discussion, whatever we're talking about on Mondays. You can certainly come on over on Tuesday evenings and join us at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we can talk about all kinds of stuff that we just talked about on this podcast. So we want you to join us then. But today we are talking about the tariffs. And really, in reality, we're discussing how you don't need to be panicked, because there are so many different details out there that I think people are really getting concerned over. Is it going to cost us so much more? Are stores closing down? How are we going to be affected by the tariffs? And I think that if you don't have the right people in place in your life to speak peace into your heart, sometimes you get a little panicked. It's like with the whole thing back in 2020, everybody panicked over a little thing. It was a big thing, but really wasn't. And I think sometimes when you don't have people speaking that kind of calm into you, then you immediately start to panic. So let us be the calming presence for you guys today, and let us help you beat the tariff blues and not be so panicked over something that you probably don't need to worry about too much. We're going to give you some tips and tricks on how to get through it. So tariffs in general. Cayce, what do you know about the tariffs? What do you think in big picture here?
So we were talking about this before we went live. I did a little bit of research on the Google, on the onlines, about the tariffs. We had talked about it with our lovely Sandy when we first thought about doing this episode. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is the tariffs are on the price that the business pays for the item, not necessarily what the consumer pays for the items. For example, when Nike buys the Nike tennis shoes from China or overseas, they pay a lot less because they got to make money too. So the tariff is on that amount. Let's just say it's $12. They buy it for $12. They sell it for $200. People are thinking that the 135, whatever number it is now for China, is on that $200 shoe, when really to the business, it's on that $12 shoe that they're buying from China. Now, am I saying that the businesses aren't going to hike their prices up? No, of course they're going to hike their prices up, because they can right now, because we are just in that state of time in the world where businesses feel like, hey, right now I can get in that 3, 4, 5% increase in the price, and people are going to pay it because they think that's what's going on. So do your research before you know. But tariffs, to me, we talked about this before we went on. I believe that all of this, I'm not going to let it freak me out and put, my big boy boxers in a fizzy. Okay. I'm going to say there's a reason that this is happening. And I think this is a kick in my tuchus. I've said for years, I want to make all of my own soaps for the homestead. Well, right now, when there's going to be a price increase, why not make that time right now?
That's right.
Bite the bullet and just buy all that you need. Same way you're listening to us on the podcast platform or on our personal YouTube channels. Why not make this tariff time be like, you know what? I saw Ann make calendula oil. I think I'm going to try that at home. so that I have it to make lotions or butter. Why not?
That's right.
Why not learn a new skill during this time instead of panic buying? You don't want to panic buy. Do not buy no Christmas presents in May. That's what the news are saying, that you should buy Christmas in May. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not buying it at Christmas in May. I know Monica's not. I know Monica and Eric aren't. No?
No, first of all, I don't even buy my Christmas presents till November anyway. So we're not talking about Christmas presents in no May. So
That's
Miss
right.
Ann, what are you thinking when it comes in terms of, ways to beat the tariff blues? So to not really panic about it, but to really work your way around it mentally. And what are you thinking you're gonna be, how you're gonna do that?
Right. Well, mentally and emotionally, I mean, we've been through this in 2020 as far as things that were not available to us, things that the prices went crazy, and they may still, only because they can. But it's not a realistic price increase. It's something that the major companies can get away with right this minute, but it's not real, and it will come back to a normal, well, a new normal anyway. And what I've decided is I am going to learn to be even more self-sufficient. Yes, gardening is important. Yes, trying to raise your own meat is important. I'm actually excited to see that while these tariffs are going on, because it's now lessening the advantage of our American industry to move overseas. My little town of Edenton, population 5,000, the whole county has 10,000. We used to be a very industry filled town and country. We had a cotton mill. We had United Piece and Dye, where they had materials to make all these clothes. We had a sewing factory. We had all these various things that were factory workers here. And people talk about the employment being lost. Well, that's when it happened, because our industry went overseas. And so what we're trying to do now is to understand that, yes, there will be growing pains. Yes, there will be some changes. Hard, man. Y'all, change is not an easy thing to go through, but there are already companies that are coming back to America to be able to help the United States of America be stronger again. And so we're going to have to be a little patient to be able to work through those. So what do you think, Monica and Eric? We are so happy to have you join in. And your view, Eric, on the tariffs of what is going on now, to have a brand new mind and a brand new voice in our podcast land, to hear what you have to say about the tariffs.
Well, I think tariffs are obviously a very real thing, and I think there's a lot to be said for. I've noticed here recently that I really started sounding like the old guy at work because I say things that old people say. But remember the days when you saw something that you wanted and you saved money to buy it instead of just clicking a button and the next day it was at your doorstep.
That's right.
So I think sometimes when you look at the tariffs, it's scary because, like you said, Ann, it's going to be a big change for a lot of people. At least for the normal people, the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, which is most Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that it'll give you the opportunity to step back and ask the age old question that I learned when I was just a little guy that my dad would always ask me when I had money in my pocket. He would say, "Son, do you really need that?"
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's an easy question to ask is, do you really need it? Or is it just something that you want?
There you go. Is it a need or a want?
Exactly. I think it also lends us the opportunity. Tariffs in general give us the opportunity now to, once you have that question, do I need it or do I want it? Maybe if you need it because it's something that you need for your, maybe for medicinal things, maybe for peace of mind. Is there a way for you to get it or make it yourself? Is there a way for you to barter with someone and get this without paying the prices of those overseas manufacturers or whatever it is? Maybe you don't have to Amazon it. Maybe it's something you need for your homestead or for your space where you're living and existing. But maybe there's a cheaper way to get it, or a more down to earth home based type of way.
Mhm.
I think we need to get back into the mindset too of shopping local and shopping our thrift stores. Go thrifting, reuse, recycle. That used to be a thing where people recycled things and reused things. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. You know, I think before we talked about this, Sandy had brought up a really great point. Why not have a community yard sale type of thing, but it's not a yard sale. It's a community get together where maybe you're recycling some of those kitchen gadgets that you just don't use. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's got a box of those things that you're not using. Casey, I know you're a kitchen gadget guy. And so between you and me and Ann and friends of ours, there's probably people that have a bunch of gadgets. Maybe
Yep.
you get together with your group and you have a gadget swap. Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for, a strawberry picker topper thing, because not everybody
Mhm.
has them fancy strawberry pluckers. And, Casey
Casey
knows.
did.
I
And,
don't.
it worked out great for you because you can pluck those little tops off and make you some syrup. However, but there may be a need for that. And I think that was such a great idea that Sandy had brought up to all of us, and we were kind of chatting about it. And I mean, that just blew my mind. I'm like, that's amazing. That is such a cool thing to do, to get together and to kind of thrift in your neighbors,
Mhm.
stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that we have that we just don't need. And maybe someone next to us really does need it or want it. So I think that there's a lot to be said for that. If you say, maybe, do I want it or do I need it? Maybe there's a way to get what you need without shopping for it. And that's one really practical way to beat the tariffs and beat the pricing that is just going up and up and up.
Well, there also is another thing that is a source of comfort. I'm not sure that's the word I'm looking for, but so many people expected Russia to crash when America pulled out of Russia. Okay, they expected their economy to totally fall, and what happened was, even though they can't get anything from America, they get it from India or some other countries and other places where we'll be doing the same thing, things that are high in tariffs that one country might not agree with the United States tariff prices. We have a tariff trade with another company. So we'll still be getting a lot of supplies. It's just going to kind of be around the bend. It might be from one country up to another country, then back down through another border that comes in that has a trade agreement with us. And that tells me that we're still going to be having it. Not to say that I'm not still learning to make my own medicine, try to grow as much food as I can, try to learn to make as Casey said, all my soaps, my shampoos and soaps around the house, which is so much more healthy for you anyway, and a better price. So, Cayce, there's some other things that we had talked about on tariffs, as far as, instead of being panicked or fearful, we can maybe rethink other things. What do you think you might be doing to help you not panic?
Well, I think what Monica and Eric had said before, like thinking, do you need it or do you want it? And
Mhm.
also, when you think of, I have noticed with certain things, when you get it from overseas, the quality maybe not as up to your standard.
That's
So
right.
you can think of, okay, yes, I could have gotten it cheaper from, say, China, but I'm going
Mhm.
to have to buy it 10 times when really that just equaled the amount of you buying it from an American made company, anyways. So do you want to spend the $100 6 times or the $600 one time? And,
That's right.
for a lot of people, 600, you're like, oh, I don't know if I can put that money together. You're going to have to buy it 6 times off of Amazon.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
right.
all know that most of the stuff from Amazon is from overseas.
Yeah.
Listen, hi, my name is Casey. I have an Amazon ordering problem. But at some point, I have to stop myself and be like, now, Casey, you could have made that yourself. Or you really didn't need that pool skimmer that works off of a solar panel. Or maybe you could have, yes, Monica, I found it. It was great. We're talking about
What?
here I am. It's really cool. Anyways, we're buying stuff we don't need from China. And I could have just had my one little skimmer and used it. So I think going back to, do I need it or do I want it?
Yeah.
And food prices, I don't know why everybody's acting like shocked. Food prices have been going up for years now.
Insane.
This ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new to see eggs prices being, I don't buy eggs anymore, but egg prices, beef prices, all of that kind of stuff. It's nothing new. So the tariff is not going to cramp my style from what I have in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Well, one thing to take in consideration, I don't know how political you do or don't get on this podcast, but back when COVID was going on, a lot of the American ranchers and farmers were not having their animals purchased for slaughter. And what they were doing was bringing them in from foreign countries, whether it be Mexico, Brazil, all these other places. So if, unfortunately, we live in a world where we are at the mercy of however our food gets to the plate. And as I've discussed before with other people, the best option is always to grow it yourself. But some people either don't have the space to do it, and most people don't have a desire to work a 40-hour job, at least, come home and work even more to raise your food.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, those tariffs could impact your beef prices or whatever else they're bringing in. Fish, salmon comes from a lot of offshore type countries,
Right.
that raise them. And so, the good thing is if you're wanting to educate yourself, is look up the tariffs that are impacting each of the different countries. If I can, for a minute, Monica had asked me maybe kind of give some flavor from a commercial industry side with my job that I work at. We purchase a lot of things in America, but we also purchase a lot of things outside of America when it comes to different types of motors, different types of mechanical pieces of equipment, things like that. And right now, a lot of the obsolete parts that you can't get anymore are remanufactured specifically in China. And so I even talked to a vendor the other day that said, if I want to purchase X, you need to do it now, because the tariffs right now are impacting it like 18%. He said, but if you wait until October of this year, the cost of it will go up 400%. Let that sink in for a second.
400%.
400%. So, the whole idea, and I'm not going to try to put words in the mouth of the president, but the whole idea of doing tit for tat is the fact that if you want our tariffs to be lower, you need to lower yours. So
Right.
I think, this kind of theory, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to raising kids, when it comes to working with people, is it works. So I'm hopeful, as Ann said earlier, that there's always growing pains. And I think that at some point it will break. And I think that, I know I've taken a lot of time now.
You're fine. You're doing
I'm
good.
I'm the guest speaker, so I get to go as long as I want, right?
Yeah, that's it. This is a long episode, Eric. Remember.
And it's a long episode. But man, now I lost train of thought.
Talking about
Okay.
tit for tat, and then
Well, I was just going to say, I don't remember what I was going to say. I'll get back to it later. Go.
That's okay. That's all right.
I think he makes a great point, though, because people are so scared that they're going to panic
that's what I
by
was gonna
now.
say. Thank
Okay,
you.
there you
Thank
go.
you. There we go. No, what I was going to say was, if you also remember, what we've always learned is that if you learn from history, it won't repeat itself, right? And if we remember what happened during COVID, is you had a lot of fear mongering. You had a lot of fear mongering on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and all it did was just drive fear into the people. So I remember, since we don't buy meat from the grocery store, I remember going to Walmart and just watching people pace up and down the meat portion of the store.
Wild.
But the thing is that there was still enough for everybody. And if people would have just remained calm then it would have passed.
Right.
So that's a good way to get around all this is don't believe the hype. Just relax and understand that it'll even out at some point in time, and it's not the end of the world. I promise.
Well, I think that's the part too. That I think that's important to remember too is, while Eric said that prices are going to increase in some of these big manufacturing, commercial industries, you're looking at prices increasing up to 400% in some cases. You may have that happen. If your car is going to break down in the summertime, you may be in trouble. You may have to get find ways around it. You may have to, your car guy may end up having to pay a lot more, and it may take a lot longer to get those car parts in. So there's no really way you can prepare for those things that just come up. You can just pray and ask God to give you that wisdom and guidance when it does happen, that you'll have the means to fulfill what you need at that point. And again, if something like that happens, that's where you say, okay, well, what do I need this for right now? Okay. How can I still get to work? Obviously I need to get to work and my car's not getting me there. Help me, Lord, find a way around it. And I think that as long as you stay relaxed and know that there's going to be a way, and you can find a way to do it, then it's going to be better in the end. I mean, you may run into those big price increases, but if you're smart, you can work around it too.
You buy the car part and you don't buy earrings.
Maybe don't buy the earrings.
Now, Monica, you discovered something the last time that we were together on, because we haven't really focused on some of us have tried really hard to focus on buying American made, but it's so much easier to just push that button on Amazon and get it from anywhere. I mean, I am very guilty of that, but there is a section on Amazon. Can you tell us about that? That was new news to me, and very enlightening.
Yeah, so I didn't actually hook it up through Amazon, but this is the screen. Cayce is going to pull it up and I'm going to scroll down. It's called madeintheusa.matters.com. You can actually go through and you can go click on Amazon right here, and you can actually add this to your Amazon where it'll show you all the things that are made in the USA and that they're on Amazon as well. So it's great because you can actually add it to your Amazon somehow. I haven't done it yet. Did you actually get it working on your Amazon, Miss Ann?
You can filter your Amazon working. You can just filter it by USA made. And all the items that come up under that are all made in the USA. And
so,
pretty much everything that you need is on there. Not everything, but there are ways around it. I have very dear, close friends that are saying, buy it now, like Eric was talking about, as far as his producers, his contacts where he gets equipment and things. Buy it now or you're going to be paying, that kind of thing. And yes, you may want to, if your car needs a new starter, you might want to go ahead and buy your starter for your car or something like that. But most of the time, this too shall pass. These will be growing pains, and this too shall pass. I am in a position where Worth and I are both retired. It's wonderful. We are on a very limited income because we're living off of retirement, but we have the time to garden, and we do have chickens. Now, we don't have our own meat source. So meat prices do affect us greatly. And I am currently making friends and trying to figure out some of our local farmers and local vendors at our farmers market to be able to see, hey, I can do this. I can make that for you. What can we barter to be able to get us a freezer full, not a freezer full, but at least a few pieces of beef or pork or seafood, those kinds of things.
Yeah. I think that's great too. There's lots of really good resources online that you can find, not just the madeintheusa.matters.com, but there's all kinds of really great resources. If you want to shop local, you can go and find those local. We've talked about on episodes too, where they have the Rico rings. We've talked about a Rico ring is where you basically can buy it online through these little groups. and then you meet in like a parking lot or wherever the group agrees to meet up, and you just share, you just swap all your items that you've already purchased. So you pre-purchase before you get there. But it's a really great way to shop local and not have to go into a grocery store or go into another space. You're able to shop within your local community and meet up and then swap all those items up. I think it's great to do those kind of things. So there's lots of ways to find local farmers, whether it's farmers markets or people that that know another person. A lot of times word of mouth is a great resource to buy and shop your local vendors and your local people. So, I mean, I think that's a huge deal, is to really, that's one way you're 100% going to beat that, that markup. Now, they may mark up some of their stuff a little bit. We just had to increase our beef boxes that we sell here by about $10 each box. That was it. That's all I did, is I tacked on the extra $10 because they're charging me per box. They're literally charging me like $3 for a cardboard box.
Oh,
And I can't take, when I go get my beef, I can't pick up the beef in a cooler. I have to take it out of there in a cardboard box. I have zero options. So it's costing me a little extra every time I go purchase. So I increased my prices per beef box up to $10 more. And that's hopefully going to cover some of that cost in the end. But it's minimal. But if you find the right people, you're not going to really feel a lot of that.
That's right.
Cost.
Yeah, that's right. And I've been through that panic already. I'm not letting myself do it again. I have walked in the grocery store where there are empty shelves and there are empty spaces. And that was really scary back then. And it may happen again. But guess what? We recovered. We recovered, and we will do it again. So yes, what my suggestion is if you're pre-buying or stocking up in your items, do what brings you peace. What brings you peace to be able to have in your home so that you feel more confident. Now, does that mean buy out a warehouse of toilet paper? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means getting you some staples, that type of thing. And, I still have food and dry goods that I got back in 2020 that I haven't used yet. So how many people bought all that freeze-dried stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
Okay, so that's one thing you've talked about too, is rotating your pantry items. I think that's a really smart thing to do right about now. And that's maybe where we can also say, if you're thinking about those things, if you're thinking about stocking up, maybe now's the time to learn how to use those items that you may have stocked up before. Getting those skills, and we've talked about that before, getting those skills together and knowing how to cook it. Cayce be trying to sneak up on my kids and cook up some stuff that he had freeze dried. And he couldn't fool these kids. He couldn't do. He muted himself laughing because he knows. But you got to know how to use and cook the food that you have, because you could have a whole pantry shelf, a whole pantry filled with canned goods and freeze dried goods and beans. I mean, look, y'all, if you have a whole mess of beans that are dried, but you don't know how to cook them or can them, they're not doing you any good, because there's nobody crunching down on hard beans. Trust me, I'm the person that bought beans a while back. Our family don't eat beans, and I'm always looking for new ways to make beans or find a way to can it, because I don't know what I'm doing with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really important to get those skills now. And I think, that's important. And, we've talked about it on other shows where you need to rotate your stock.
Right.
That's right.
Move those things through.
Well, you got the canning stuff. Like when I look at the pantry, I look at my canned items. I look at that for a year, always for a year. Yes, you have some, and we have some very dear friends. All of us have friends that are preppers that will say you're prepping for 15, 20, 25 years. Me, not so much. My canned food, I'm prepping for a year, because if I have the skills, that next year, I already have my seeds. I already have this. I know how to grow it. I know how to can it. Now, rice, flour, the wheat berries, sugars, I'm doing on a 3-year. I know that I'm stocking up for about 3 years. Because I get it from somebody. I don't, and I'm not going to grow sugar cane. Don't have the space and don't have the energy to want to do it. But you have places like Azure Standard that you can buy the bulk, that you know it's American made product from local farms in the United States. You get it from there, you're good to go. I do it in the 3 years. There's not much that I get past the 3 years. Now I make it fancy and buy the August and Farm freeze dried stuff, just so I can feel real homesteady and have it on my shelves. But that's another thing we go back to. Do you want it or do you need it?
Yeah.
Because freeze dried stuff, it is good to have, just in case. But how
Okay.
do you use it though? How are you going
But
to use it if you just have it up there?
the milk powders and stuff is really what I've learned to use. And I think you've been one of the ones that have really pushed me in that avenue, because I have the milk powders kind of on a rotation. Like I will literally buy another milk powder can to add to my stock every quarter. I want to say every 3 or 4 months, I throw another milk one in because I'm using it up. I made Christmas gifts this past year and I made my own homemade seasoning things, and I use the dry milk powder in there. I use it when I cook now. I've learned how to use that, and it makes me I feel homesteady.
Homesteady.
I feel homesteady now. That's going to be a new shirt we're going to have to do. It's I feel homesteady. But when you're using that, it really does feel good to be using something that you've put your money into, because he works really hard for that money that I spend all the time. And I just want to make sure that I'm being a good steward over what God's given us. And so I need to know how to use those things that we've purchased. And so that's super important.
And have you done the milk powder yet? Because I think
I haven't bought anything from Azure Standard or any of those drop shipments, because the closest one is about 2.5 hours from me.
Well, they do have it on the Amazon too.
I get the milk powder on Amazon.
Me too.
I might have to try.
We've counted before, so you can make milk. It's a whole milk powder, so you can make whole milk. I've done whole milk. I've done heavy cream. I've done buttermilk. It's all the same powder. Some people do use it because they use it sometimes as formula. If they can't get the other formula, they'll use it for baby formula. I've made eggnog without the liquor in it, but I've made eggnog, and I've been able to have shelf-stable eggnog. I've made cheese. I've made butter, all from this one product.
Okay.
Really, it's like $17 for a number 10 can.
Okay, I don't have a clue.
It's cheap. It's good. Once you pop it open, vacuum seal it into some other quart jars or some pint jars. Then you have the longevity, and then you're not panicking when stuff is running out, because I have bought milk from friends that sell milk and dairy, but the cow doesn't produce it 24/7. So if you're drying off a cow, that means they don't have it either, and they may get like a gallon a day. They're not going to sell that to you, so you need to have your backup, so you're not going to the Walmart trying to buy the milk that's been hiked up to $14 for a gallon. I'm being dramatic, but still.
Speaking of the tariffs, I think that, in my opinion, my humble, unbeknownst opinion, is I feel like it was put into place because Americans were being so taxed and tariffs in other countries so much more than what we are. I mean, as far as what we pay, what other countries pay to have their stuff come in. Say there is China. China was paying very little in tariffs. America shipping to China, we're paying a huge amount. And our country decided, hey, what's right about this? This is not very fair. We need to even this up. And how about let's get in some sort of agreement here. And ultimately, it will be better for everyone to be more on an even playing field. We could potentially bring some industry back to the United States. How amazing would that be? I mean, when I was young, you never saw an adult working at McDonald's. They were working at the shirt factory. They were working at the cotton mill. They were working in industries. They weren't working at McDonald's.
Well, those adults actually identify as teenagers still in 2025. I'm sorry for anyone who works at McDonald's. I'm sorry. You can totally.
I'm not above working at McDonald's, I can tell you. but
It's a job.
Well,
it is a job.
speaking from the commercial side, once again, that's definitely
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, Monica muted me. She didn't want to hear me. Speaking from the commercial side, once again, I just trying to add some additional depth to the conversation.
Yes, please.
Is the fact that the position that I hold is recognized as a blue collar industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you how many different tradesmen that I have talked to that there is no service within a week most of the time. It's service within a few weeks if they can get to you. And now we are in a very construction dominant area right now here in Texas. There's a lot of action. Everybody wants to move to Texas. Businesses want to move to Texas because they're friendly for the taxes and things like that.
Yeah.
But there's so many different businesses that are looking for people to work. That's what they want. They want people to work. And when you look at from a tariffs perspective, like you said, that hopefully it'll bring back more jobs to the United States. But even from a shopping perspective, when we talked about what is a need and a want, but we also have to remember this is a conversation I have with my kids on a regular basis when it comes time for dinner, is every dinner doesn't have to be your favorite dinner.
Right.
Do we all remember those old days, right? Where sometimes you ate something because that's what was for dinner, not because it was your favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mom made things sometimes that was in the budget, not because it was all of our favorites.
That's right.
And I think that we as Americans have also become very spoiled in a lot of things, not just in wanting something at our doorstep tomorrow morning, but also from a perspective of I want the very best, or I want that because that's what I want. And before you know it, you start sounding like the one lady or the young girl that wanted the golden goose egg on.
I want it now, Father. Yeah.
Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory.
She was a brat too.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of like the work ethic because I'm the youngest on this panel. I'll just put that out there that I am the youngest. People my age and younger have this much work ethic. When somebody could, like you said, if it's not your favorite dinner, you still eat it. Okay. Just because that job may not be your favorite job in the whole entire world, is it paying your bills?
Right.
Are you able to go to the grocery store and whine and complain about prices going up? Are you able to get on Amazon and charge a credit card up? Yes. So stop always trying to, the grass isn't greener, I guess is what I'm saying. You can't always try to get that perfect job, which in your head you think you're qualified for, but you may not really be qualified for it. Or if you expect others, there was this one Instagram video that made me so angry because mainstream media has, I know I'm about to get, soapbox.
You're finding your words. That's okay.
I'm behaving.
Good.
The mainstream media has put it out to young adults that you deserve this, you deserve that. Well, actually, if you work hard enough, you can get that. But it's not owed to you just because you are right out of college, or you're not owed it just because you're a man or a woman or whatever race it is. You work hard to get what you get. And I think that's the one thing that homesteading has taught me is, as a homesteader, you work for everything in that pantry. It tastes better, it feels better, because you did it and you worked tirelessly to get to that level of proudness. Is not a word. I'm making up words now, but
pride and the sense of accomplishment.
Yes, that you've done that. If everything was just given to me, like if I moved onto the homestead and like I told Eric that I was going to change 4 times into different outfits for all the different seasons and dinners, and food was just shipped in, it wouldn't feel the same as it did not showering for 4 days, gardening. Don't make that face, Eric.
He says that.
But you know what I mean. I'm over exaggerating. But that's another thing that I think everybody's freaking of the tariffs is because we have been misled so much by not
have
necessarily YouTube and our 3 channels, but by mainstream media to think that you are owed something or something is going to happen when really, I mean, yes,
Yeah.
prices go up maybe for even if it's a year. It's
Yeah.
okay. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't buy as much. I think there was a statement that our president said that maybe you have $2 instead of $30. I mean, that shows how spoiled Americans have gotten that even we would think in our head that, oh, that's how dare somebody say that? Maybe I want the $30. If you want the $30, great, okay? But work for it, and so that you can pay, thanks to all these price increases, all 30 of those $600 dolls.
Yeah.
So now let's step back from my soapbox. I didn't get too politically correct for anything. And I'm going to pass it back over to Anne because she can make everything sound so much nicer.
I'm better.
Well, that is true. When we're talking about our needs and our wants, I mean, I came from a time where you didn't get everything that you wanted. There wasn't the wants very often. You got what you needed and what you needed to be able to survive. Now, the extras, maybe your birthday, maybe Christmas, you got something extra that you might want, but not every single day. I mean, even my own grandchildren that I adore and love, I can't take them into the Dollar Tree or to Rose's or something and purchase a toy for them because they already have everything. Nothing. If you walk a kid in a store and they're going in the toy section and they already have everything or is not really thrilled about it, then we as a society have too much. And that's,
Well, I think there's something to be said for that, right? So you come from a generation maybe where I guess as parents, right, we always want to give more kids more or do more than what our parents were able to do for us, right? So I think the pendulum has swung so far now that we're in a society where now we give our kids so many things that they literally need nothing. And it's not just the parents, it's the grandparents. Grandparents love to spoil grandkids. I now know that. But I can tell you right now, after having 8 kids, by the time you get to number 6, 7, and 8, they don't want for nothing. These kids don't want for anything. Matter of fact, Christmas time, birthdays come up, and my kids know they don't ask for presents except for your birthday. That's the only time you ask for presents. If you want something special, you can ask on your birthday. Christmas time, that's about you giving people something, not about you getting anything. But they know they're going to get things. But grandma and granddad, they be asking all kinds of, what do they need? What do they need? They don't need anything.
right.
Maybe they need some boots. Maybe they need some of these things. They need socks. And it's funny because my mother-in-law cracks up every time my kids say, we need socks. And she's like, I got you socks. Well, I need more. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, homesteaders go through socks real fast. Okay. Them boots boot your socks up for some reason. I don't know what they do. My kids they must be eating their socks for lunch instead of actually eating real food. But I think that's something to be said for this generation, the generation it's going to be the people that are going to be the most afraid. And if you're feeling that fear and you're listening to us right now and you're like, no, I feel afraid. I'm worried for my own income. I'm worried. You don't need to be afraid. I'm telling you from my generation, I'm 46 years old and I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to be scared because I grew up in a time where not everybody got an award. Not everybody was special, and you were made sure that you knew you weren't special, okay? Not everybody won a trophy. You didn't get a participation trophy when we were growing up. You just didn't. First place, second place, they got them trophies, and that was it. You don't need a participation award, okay? And nobody's going to give you one in this life.
Oh, that's going to be a big change, man.
And that's a hard thing for kids, people that are younger, for them to accept. You're not going to get an award just for existing, okay?
And see, Monica didn't even have third. I guess I'm 37, so we got added a third place trophy because they got tired of the whining, I guess. But I mean, really, you have to think of your needs as air, water, substance, food of some sort.
Yeah.
I just keep going back to the $30.
Yeah.
The iPads, like, why do we need iPad and a game system that's also an iPad, plus the watch that attaches to the iPad that attaches to the phone? Now, listen, I have all of those. I have all of those things.
Now
I know, as the plans are looking at their watch.
I want one of those watches real bad, but I probably won't get that one.
I mean, if you can't get it for a year,
Buy it now, Anne, before the tariffs hit.
don't be scared, but buy it now.
Yeah, get it now.
Charge it. But yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, I think that I'm excited, actually. I mean, I do feel for people that are in the shipping industry. That's going to be hurt. I feel for people in the trucking industry. That's going to be hurt. When I was growing up, if you met a trucker on the road, they were your best friend. If you were a single person, my mother was a single mom, and she knew that if she got behind a truck, that they were going to look after her. If she broke down, they were going to look after her. Now our world is inundated with truckers and shipments and things like that because we are getting so much from out of our country. But I really feel that I'm excited to see what happens on the other side of this. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, we will have to cut back. Worth and I will even have to, even though it's just the two of us, we're going to have to cut back because prices at the grocery store will be going up. Shelves will be empty. But I'm not panicked this time. I mean, I think it's going to be just fine. So, Eric, as far as at your job, I'm curious. All right, at your job, you are in charge of like this huge area, building, maintenance, the whole 9 yards, everything that you want to make sure everything is cool or hot or whatever it needs to be, everything's working and all in its right spot. How does this threat of items from other countries not being available, how does that affect you and the people that you're working with? Do you think that they're going to lose jobs?
So no. To be more specific with what I do, I operate high-rise buildings that are filled with all types of tenants. Most of the tenants that are in the building where I'm located are lawyers.
Okay.
And so none of that is the bigger concern is from the ownership perspective of making sure that they are able to maintain temperatures and maintain the lights burning and stuff like that. So, like I said earlier, I think some of the things we're just not going to be able to get around. But it's just like your home budget. You have a budget of money for buying food, for buying whatever it is, your little buckets that you have. And it's the same way with a giant building is we have buckets of money that sit in different categories, and we just have to find ways to be creative in what we do. And, that's one of the big things about our positions at this building is being able to think outside the box and come up with different ideas how to do things. And that's how that's kind of translated into our life on the farm is all the things that we face, including things like this, like tariffs coming in, is how do you come up to that? Do you run and scream, or do you face it head on and find a way to get over it or around it or whichever way you're going? And I think that if you just keep calm, that's always how I try to train my guys. Even when we have water running from the 70th floor going all the way down to the 50th floor.
Oh no.
Let's not panic. We can move fast, we can react quickly, but we don't need to panic.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the same thing with this. It's not go out and fill our shelves up because, what if the tariffs even out before you even need that stuff? You've spent extra money that you didn't need to. Mm-hmm. And I think that, even from a prepping perspective, there's a lot of like overlap in that because preppers tend to, like Cayce was saying earlier, they tend to want to plan for 10 years out. And it's like, bro, where are you even putting all those cans? Like,
I don't have their space.
Yeah. No reasonable person has that much room in their house. So if
Yeah.
if that's the case, then what you do is you pick a time frame, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, and you plan for that time period and make sure that you have the skills you need to be able to backfill whatever you have.
Your
And
annual budget. Mhm.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so going back to, like increase in cost because of tariffs is how do you cut that down? Well, maybe you buy in bulk and then you learn to preserve your food. Or maybe instead of having a pound hamburger, not that I eat that much hamburger, but just, instead of eating a pound, that you do a half pound, but you had a little bit of lettuce that you grew in a pot,
Yeah.
That's right.
or
Hydroponic.
you did some hydroponic, or you do bucket growing or something like that. I mean, it's amazing that, especially with YouTube at our fingertips, and you start to talk to people, just listening to Cayce, for example, he's extremely intelligent when he was talking about how he cans, how he prepares, how he rotates through. And those
Right.
are skills that you have to learn. It's not like you wake up one day and
Thank you, Eric. I'm over. Thank you.
She's gonna cry.
Monica made a note. She said, please compliment Cayce before the show's
I did
over."
not. I did not.
Well, you see, I mean, I came from a time also, and I think I probably said that about 10 times. It's not like I'm 100 years old, y'all. I'm 60, almost 66. But when I was a young teenager, we had a gas shortage. It really wasn't a gas shortage. What happened was our country put out that there was a gas shortage.
Yeah.
And so every person wanted to fill every single car every minute of the day. We had enough gas, but not enough gas to fill every single vehicle in America. And so at the time, you were either even or odd, whatever the first or the last number of your license plate.
Yeah.
That was if you were even or odd, you could go on a Monday or a Wednesday, or you could go on a Tuesday or a Thursday to get your gas. And the gas lines were long, and it was difficult, and it was weird. But once people decided, hey, I don't have to fill every single vehicle I have to the tippy top, magically the gas shortage went away. So this is the same type of thing. It's history repeating itself. And
and that's exactly, I was, when we were muted there a minute ago, I asked Monica how old you were, because that was what was on my mind, was the gas shortage. And
because our parents have talked about it before.
Yeah.
I
And
remember being in the car with my mama.
And so for us, our example to our kids is all the COVID stuff that happened, because it's the same thing. They had the meat there. It's just that everybody wanted to have their freezer filled like normal.
Yes.
And I think that this is where, and this drives me absolutely bonkers, how quickly people forgot all the things that happened during COVID.
Yeah.
And when COVID happened, everybody wanted to raise their own food, have their own rabbit or chickens, have their own eggs, have all this stuff. And then as soon as everything went back to, I'll say, normal. Then everybody forgot about it. And they're asking me again, why do you raise your own food? And my answer has always been, so that if you remember what happened in COVID, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Right. We learned.
But some people learn, some people do not. And they get into a panic
Well,
mode.
you can't fix stupid, Eric.
It's a short-term memory thing. People only have such a short-term memory. They don't remember back 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's a convenience mindset is what it is. It's just
well, I was going to ask everybody, since we were talking about that, and one that we've learned, if you can use this tariff moment as your COVID moment, what is one thing that you want to hone in on and learn to save money because of the tariffs going forward? Like, we all learned raising our own meat and vegetables during COVID. Now during Tariff-Geddon, and I just said that, and watch, it's going to be a hashtag now. I better get my props for it. With Tariff-Geddon, what are you, Anne, wanting to do to learn to prepare yourself more going forward for our last couple of minutes on this podcast?
Okay, yeah, because we are down to the last couple of minutes. I think in the Dale household, I am going to work on not purchasing as many paper products. I spend a lot of money in paper products, paper plates, paper towels, especially paper plates, paper towels, toilet tissue. You got to have. I'm sorry, I'm going to spend money on toilet tissue.
Miss Ann's not going to family cloth, everyone. She
am
is
not going to family
rejecting family cloth.
That's right. But I mean, I use paper bowls for convenience when the grandchildren come, paper plates for just about everything. Disposable items, paper goods is what, I mean, it's just Worth and I 85% of the time. We should be able to cut that budget way back. And that's what I'm going to be working on. How about you, Monica and Eric?
I want to go first because I'm going to take Monica's.
No, he's not going to take mine.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say earlier, so I'm glad that Cayce cut me off. So that
You're used to that, though, right?
Compliment and then a cut, right?
So right. So that way I could save that for this answer. And the answer is to learn how to preserve your food. I mean, it's actually one of the simplest things you can do, and it prolongs the life of it, and it doesn't have to be put in a refrigerator. You can can your stuff. You can water glass your eggs. You can pickle stuff.
You're going to learn to can and water glass and pickle?
No, that's what you do.
Oh,
But-
you just
As a family. You
Wait,
say
Ann Bale said in her household.
Oh, okay.
So
My
this is a household answer.
I have a different answer.
Yeah. But I think that, and that's the thing, going back to the panic mode, is don't wait for all the tariffs to be in place. Learn the skills now. You should have been learning them back when COVID hit, but if you haven't taken time to do that,
Start
it
now.
now.
Start now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start. I think for me, what I've learned from COVID, but also from now, like thinking about it more, I think one of the key ways I have learned more over the year, and I'm going to really buckle down and make sure I'm implementing it, is to really meal plan. I use my apps to meal plan and purchase my groceries. And sometimes I'll be really intentional about it. And then other times I'm like, man, I'm just going to order this. And then I go to Costco and lose my mind and, spend $300. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I buy?
Right.
So I think that I really am going to be more intentional with making sure that I make the meal plan and I stick to it. Because if I can stick to that meal plan, I can stay within that window. And, I can shop on my apps. I can use my Walmart Plus app and I can use my Costco app and I can make my list and budget everything out. And so I know when I go into Walmart, I'm going to spend $133.87. And that's what I can spend. And I don't get sidetracked with all the other junk that my brain is like, oh, get that, Monica. It looks really good. Because inevitably that's what I do. So
utilize coupons that way as well. If you do it
I mean, that used to work for me. I used to coupon all the time back in the day, but I'm not there anymore. But Cayce, what are you thinking? What is your thing?
First of all, they're not couponing like they used to coupon.
They don't.
Because I'm still a couponer. And
Yeah.
when you have to coupon from 6 different apps and areas
It's hard.
get the same amount that you used to get from one, it gets to the point where it's not even worth it because
We just use our fetch apps and add all our stuff to our fetch app and you can make your money that way. Boom.
I look at it like, ooh, Monica got that many points. I need to go get more receipts. But no, for Ormsby Farm household, one thing we talked about this on one of our previous episodes, I want to get away from Ziplocs. I am a Ziploc person, and because it's easy, it's convenient. Listen, I've done videos on vacuum sealing, and I don't always practice what I preach because after you've just done 2 hours of shopping, you're over everything, and it takes extra time to vacuum seal it. But why not get those reusable Ziploc bags that you can wash and reuse? But also, I said my soaps. I will be doing soaps this year. I don't care if Mother Guest loves her gain. Wasn't that Mother Guest and Eric were on the same level of like had to have certain.
Yeah, they need the smelly.
Stuff.
He likes his t-shirts to smell fresh and not like the no smell stuff that I'd be making hand stuff. He's like, no, I'm not down for that. Yeah, no. Oh, okay. Now you are right. No, he's like, But it's fine, Casey, because I'm coming for some of your
want.
Yeah, I'm coming for some of your specialty coffee soap. So get ready, because I'm gonna bring some meat, and you can trade up some meat for some soap.
Well, don't get too excited because I don't have any soap. So
you better start making it. You got
I'm
time.
gonna start making it. I got about a couple weeks. Yeah,
You have time. You have time.
Yes, soaps, because I don't want to pay $4 billion for laundry soap anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm. I have to learn that. I mean, I do make my own laundry soap. It's not as good as my clear all, though. It's not.
Well, there's also there's some really good free soaps, like Free and Clear. There's good quality soaps out there that are not super expensive. You can find them on the Amazon, but you can also find them in different places. So maybe sometimes making it isn't as great. Sometimes, purchasing it can be fine, and you can still save money by purchasing it. Just depends on where you're purchasing it from. So
There you go.
Keep your eyes out. Just keep your eyes open.
I will do that. Thank you all so much for being here and talking about this hot topic with us, tariffs, whether to be prepared, frightened, or how to get around that, how to keep your peace, how to keep your calm, how to learn that we can survive, we will survive, and that this too shall pass. So we'll see y'all soon on Round the Hay Bale tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. Bye-bye now.